Oh, well, hi, it's so nice to meet you. Thanks. You want some shrimp? That is show business. Guten Morgen, everyone. On this week's edition of Drink and Discuss, we'll be sipping on a cool, creamy Dole Whip and talking about the 5 things I wish I understood before I started my career in musical theater. This turned out so much better than I thought it would. Dole Whip, you know it from Disneyland or Disney World or Disney Cruise Ship. I mean, it's kind of like a smoothie, but it tastes like a dessert. So it's like a really great non-dairy ice cream substitute, maybe? I'm digging it. It's kind of chunky too. All right. This video is not meant to discourage anybody from following their dream to become a musical theater performer or an actor or a dancer. That is absolutely not what this is about. It's more about wanting to tell you things that I understand differently now that I've gone through it all and I've got most of my career on stage behind me. When I was younger, it was hard for people close to me to really support this dream, not because they didn't believe in me, but just because we didn't know anybody who had done it. We had nothing to compare it to. And even when I was in college, I did have some competent professors tell me they didn't think that I would really be successful in theater because of being so small. Yeah, I mean, being 5'5", you're not gonna be cast as Tony in West Side Story. That's what they meant. But just to prove them wrong and to prove to you that you can make your dreams come true, I went on to work on stage in professional long-run productions of Grease, Disney's Beauty and the Beast, Miss Saigon, and Mamma Mia. I also performed in closed-end productions of Hello, Dolly, Some Like It Hot, West Side Story, Hair, and some original German musicals that you've never heard of. I also worked in young talent management for Disney's The Lion King. So I think I pretty much did have a successful career in musical theater. But especially when I was a teenager or a late teen trying to decide what path I wanted my life to take, there was nobody around me who could really tell me what it was like from a first-person perspective. So that's why I wanted to make this video today. Let me be that person for you if you are considering becoming an actor. The first point, I'm not even gonna really go into explaining a lot of it. I just wanna let you know, if you think you want to be a professional musical theater actor or a stage actor, then you should do it because you love to sing and dance and act and tell stories on stage, period. Those are the only reasons you should consider doing this professionally. If your reasons are because you want to become famous or make a lot of money or have fans and feel loved, or because you think it's an easy career, please do something else. Moving on. If you are successful and get a lot of work in high-level productions, then the schedule is grueling. Most of the big shows that I listed a couple minutes ago were on a Broadway schedule, meaning 8 shows a week with only 1 day off. 1 day off a week, usually Mondays. If you're lucky enough to get cast in a hit show that runs for several years and you stay with it, you are going to be working basically every day of the week for years. So if your non-theater or your non-working friends are planning a weekend getaway in the Bahamas, can't go. People are getting together for drinks at happy hour after work? Not gonna happen. You have to be to the theater at 7 o'clock for work, and you don't want to show up to work smelling like tequila. Although it wouldn't be the first time somebody did it. But don't be that person. You will be in the theater every night except Monday, and on the weekend, all day. There's a lot of little things about the Broadway schedule that it took me a while to realize I missed. Things that people who work in a 9-to-5 job take for granted and can enjoy, you can't. Go to the movies at any time other than 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Go out for dinner at a normal time and not at 11:30 at night. Go to see other musicals. Go home for Christmas or spend any holiday not working. I've missed so many concert tours, so many of my friends' weddings and graduation parties and stuff like that because you work Tuesday through Sunday and you only have Monday off. After so many years of working an 8-show-a-week schedule, these are the things that I now really have, that I just realized that I really missed out on some of those things and I really enjoy them now. This is another thing I didn't really realize was so important when I was starting out. You don't think about these things when you're 18 or 19, you know? Teenagers, you still feel like you're invincible, and that is a fantastic thing. Sometimes I wish that I still had that kind of naivety. It is so important to stay in shape and stay healthy in order to stay employable. Fun, sporty related activities like, going downhill skiing or rollerblading or skateboarding or ice skating, they become a huge risk. You break your arm, you lose your job, and you become unemployable until you are healthy again. Here's another thing. If you get into a really dancey, physically strenuous show, like Cats or 42nd Street or most productions of West Side Story, you'll start to realize that your diet and your dietary schedule are also really important. I mean, you can't eat a double bacon cheeseburger and drink a jumbo Coke and then be on stage dancing the Jellicle Ball an hour and a half later. There are contracts that I had where the work at night was so physically strenuous that the entire day was planned around having lunch before 11 so I could have dinner before 5, so I had enough energy to get through the show, but that my food was digested enough that I didn't puke. Professional soccer players and tennis players, they have to go through the same things. And you have to watch what you eat, not only because of the calories, but how many times did I want to have a pizza before the show, but you can't dance a show with a gut full of pizza. And girls, if you're being lifted in a show, then staying in shape is not only important for how you look and how, much energy and everything you have, but it affects your interaction with your coworkers, your dance partners. So to boil it down, depending on the show you're in, you will have to adapt your diet and your lifestyle and make a lot of sacrifices, things that can really be only compared to being a professional athlete. And my experience was the longer I did it, the less easy it became. Here's something that I never would have thought of when I was younger, but people who work in theater, you kind of become a vampire. You spend most of your hours at work in the dark, you work at night, you tend to sleep a lot during the day, and that's gonna affect having any kind of friendship or relationship with anybody who doesn't work in a similar field. I'm lucky to have Marcus. When we met and fell in love and our relationship was starting out, we were both working on the same schedule, so that was perfect. But most people that you run into aren't on this schedule, so it's kind of slim pickings. You're gonna end up spending most of your time with theater people, people who work in a hospital, or people who work as firemen or policemen or woman. Otherwise, if you're together with somebody who works a 9-to-5 job and you're working in theater, you're really not gonna see each other very often. Think about it this way. If they're getting home from work around, 6 o'clock at night, that's gonna be the time that you are leaving, the latest you're gonna be leaving to go to the theater. And when you get home from work at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, if they've got to get up at 6 to go to work, they're gonna be in bed already. Then, when they wake up in the morning at 6 o'clock, you don't wanna get up at 6 o'clock. You got a show that night. So they sneak out of bed and leave you there sleeping, and the cycle just repeats. And starting a family is so hard. If you have kids or want to have kids, when you're working, you will one day a week be putting your own kids to bed. Every other night, you're in the theater. You might, get up early to get them ready for school in the morning, and maybe you'll see them for a few hours when they get home from school, but then you're off to the theater at dinner time. And you will have no weekends with them because you'll be in the theater for 2 shows on Saturday and 2 shows on Sunday. There is literally zero job security for people who work on stage. The longest run I had was with Mamma Mia, and that show paid my bills for around 7 years. And I have to tell you, that's like winning the freaking lottery. Like I said, I don't want this all to be negative. It's just real talk. And I can't be more realer than to tell you, you are probably never going to get a show that runs for 7 years. The statistics are so low. I mean, even Frozen on Broadway is closing now. And it might have to do with Corona and all that, but you would think that the musical version of Frozen would be something that would last forever. Nope, closed. From the moment you become a full-time performer, you have no job security. You can never be sure when one job ends, when the next job is going to begin. And even when you have a job, you never know how long it's going to last. When I sit here and talk about it, it sounds awful, but it's just the truth. It's one of those things that you just learn to accept it. I mean, I know people who got cast in big Broadway shows. They thought, okay, now for years I'm gonna be making this much money, and then they move into a more expensive apartment, and all their friends and family plan to come in the next few months to see the show, and then the show closes after a month, or maybe doesn't even open. Some shows literally close before their premiere. All that could happen. You just never know. And I'm talking about life during normal circumstances, not, what we're going through right now here in May of 2020. Most likely, even after you've been in a big name, long run show, at some point in time, you're gonna end up taking a real life job for a few months to help pay your bills, and sometimes just to give yourself something to do. The up and down from the glamour to the gutter in theater is ridiculous sometimes. Okay, I'll tell you another story. I'm gonna change some facts and some names around here, but a friend of mine who was in a very big name Broadway show that ran for several years on Broadway and national tours, and she was the understudy for the main part, and the person playing the main part, this main part was played by several celebrities, Hollywood and television celebrities, with whom she rehearsed with and hung out with and went to parties with. And it was directed by somebody who was also directed not only a lot of big musicals, but some also huge Hollywood films, with whom she also worked with on this production. And when she left that show, she moved to Los Angeles to try to start a life there, working in, film and television and commercials. And it didn't really work out that well, and she did what so many people do, and she got a job in a catering company. And imagine what it was like for her after, basically starring on Broadway, to a few years later being at a private event and running into the director with his Hollywood girlfriend while you're serving shrimp cocktail in a tuxedo. The director's like, hey, how you doing? I don't remember, have you met my, A-list superstar girlfriend? And she's like, oh yeah, no, I don't think so, it's nice to meet you. And the director's like, yeah, so-and-so and I work together on this show in New York. Oh, well, hi, it's so nice to meet you. Thanks, you want some shrimp? That is show business. There are so many ups and downs, and you have to be ready for that. You have to be willing to go through all of that for any level of success. Because unless you're extremely frugal or come from, a background where maybe you just get a really big allowance from your parents every month, and if you do, great. But most likely you will go through periods where you will either be on unemployment or your unemployment will run out, and in order to pay the bills, you're gonna be doing something else. Okay, I want to leave you with some positive things, just to get you sort of back into maybe a more positive mind frame when you're thinking about possibly your new career. One of them is, when you are working, usually you're making pretty good money for doing something that you love. I mean, how many other people do you know, who work a 9-to-5 job that are passionate and love what they do? Most of them don't. In theater, it's different. Depending on what kind of contracts you look for, or what kind of auditions you go to and how open you are to it, you can travel the entire United States or even the world. I did it. Here's another thing. You will always be the center of attention in a group of strangers. Like when Marcus and I go on cruises and we sit at a big table full of people that we don't know, as soon as the questions start going, oh, well, what do you guys do for a living? And we talk about working in the entertainment industry, everybody at the table is like, it has its advantages and disadvantages. Also, your family will always have something to brag about.
Oh yeah, that's my son, the one in Frozen on Broadway.
Your mom will love it. And if you're one of those people who your whole life people have been telling you things like you have too much energy, or you're so funny, or you're so weird, or oh my god, you're crazy, you are gonna feel right at home in theater. And here's one final thing, sort of philosophical, but I'm just gonna tell it to you from the heart. Entertaining people for a living through pretending to be somebody else and telling a story and helping them forget about their normal life and sort of go on a journey with you as part of it. I don't think there's anything that is as emotionally fulfilling as that is. It is an honor to do that for a living. I'll drink to that. Look at you guys, this is still so thick. It's been almost an hour now. As always, I look forward to your feedback. Give me a comment below. Please press that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please subscribe. Share this or one of my other videos that you might think your friends on Facebook will like or Twitter friends will like. All that helps this channel grow, and that will make me very happy as well. If you have any suggestions for upcoming videos, maybe related to my theater experience, you can let me know that as well. And otherwise, I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.